All right, this time we're going to bring our panel out. If you have a question, write it on the card, pass it to the aisle. We'll come by and collect them. And team, if you can ready yourselves for that, that would be phenomenal. I'd appreciate it. Let's bring our panel back out. Lynn, Mike, and Dr. Shirvani, and give them a warm round of applause. So we're going to gather those questions, and again, you'll just pass them to the front, and we'll ask them of our panel. They're your questions, they're not ours. That's what makes tonight special and unique. In the breakout sessions, you're going to have the same opportunity to ask whatever it is you want to know. So I'm going to start with Dr. Shirvani. Dr. Shirvani.
Yes, sir.
I heard a statistic, 30% of high school students, 30% of the kids that start as freshmen in high school don't make it to graduation day as a senior. 30% dropout rate.
24%.
24%. So what can we do to improve the situation?
Well, lots of things. As you can see,
Give us two of them.
Mike beautifully talked about the family values. You have to realize that a large number of our student population in high schools are in single families and with very little attention from the parents. They're the single parent, I should say. And there's the question of food, the question of living standard, the question of any kind of interaction, attention, encouragement, motivation. So everything Mike Zagaris was beautifully articulating doesn't exist. So what you can do is helping the high schools to reach to these types of students and helping them in terms of mentoring them, in terms of trying to help them in a variety of ways, through the community associations, through the high school counseling programs. We need the community. We need that community support for a lot of these students who would otherwise would be flourishing with some support.
Great. Okay, Lynn Dickerson. Did you look into a frozen yogurt franchise prior to opening Oodles, and kind of give us the, if you did, why you chose not to go with a franchise versus doing your own brand?
We did look around a little bit. There weren't very many frozen yogurt franchises. We looked at some other franchises, other kinds of business, because for a while there we weren't sure what kind of business we were going to open. We just knew we wanted to do something. But at the end of the day, we felt like we could do it as well on our own, especially in this particular segment where it was kind of new and emerging. And in hindsight, I think we made the right decision, but that probably doesn't mean that it's always right, because there are obviously some franchises that are very successful and they give you a lot of support and a lot of branding and name recognition, and we had to start from scratch. But I guess the short answer is we didn't give a lot of consideration to a franchise.
All right, Mike, here. This is a tough one. You came from great family stock, and they wanted you to understand the importance of hard work, and they wanted you to understand the heritage of the family, where they came from, what they did, and how they got to where they are. So,
they put all that on that little card.
no, they didn't. I'm doing what they call read between the lines. So this person wants to know, what about those families that aren't so good, and they don't give the family history, heritage, or experience, and are of no support, and they have no stories to tell?
That's why I offered John Wooden's book. There are many people who can be mentors. They don't have to come within the family. And I'm going to tell you also, I think there's more to it. I think My family's not perfect. I didn't get up here and tell you all the stuff about my family that I don't want to talk about. You know, so we're all very critical of our families. One, two, I think at a certain level they're all dysfunctional in one way or another, and including our family. You know, I think though there is value there, and you need to find it, and if you can. So one is, in many cases, I think people dismiss the value of their own families, and they shouldn't. And there's real value there. And it may be that, you know, maybe there's a great-grandfather or a grandfather, a single individual who could teach you a lot. It doesn't have to be every single member of the family. And secondly, I think you can look outside the family. I have found personally great mentors in individuals that I've been blessed to have run into in my life. And I'm going to tell you right now, you know, we do not give enough credit to the older people in our society. And when I have an opportunity to talk to a Calvin Bright or somebody of his stature, his age, stature, experience, this is a wise person. And I don't know why more people don't go sit at the feet of the wise people and talk to them and learn from them. I just think our society is too youth-oriented in some ways. Nothing wrong with being young, but I think there is something wrong with the young not respecting the older people.
So that's great, because one of the questions was, how can retired people make a difference in our society? And that's be a resource, be available. Find somebody young who's willing to listen and teach them. You got to find a willing person. And Mike apparently is willing. So, all right, Dr. Shirvani.
They can help the high school kids.
Right, high school kids are where we've got to focus our time and attention. Junior high and high school, for sure.
Certainly the school system has a lot of problems, and you don't want to
Go find a school and you'll find opportunity. Okay, Dr. Shirvani.
Yes.
A genie just flew down from the sky and gave you one wish. This genie's going to grant you one wish when it comes to education. One thing you would change, what would it be?
That's
one thing.
You know, I'm president of public institutions, so that one thing I can't talk about it. I'll do that second. Because the one thing would put me in trouble, so I was thinking about the second one. And that would be that there would be budget stability at California State University. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but budget stability.
All right, Lynn. So you gave that famous quote from your college professor who stole it, I believe, from some other famous guy way back. Jeff and I were backstage trying to figure out who said it originally, that half of your marketing dollars are wasted and the other half are effective. I certainly believe that as well. Which half are working?
Well, I'll tell you the things, not that I'm being biased, but the bee works for us. The bee has an expanded distribution product that goes to both subscriber households and non-subscriber households. And we run a little coupon in that once a month or every other month. And it costs us just a couple $100s, it's not very expensive, and we get really good response. Now, when we ran an ad just in the traditional bee, we didn't get such good response, but that expanded distribution product worked really well for us. We did a radio promotion that was a disaster, that if I had it to do over again, we would not do it. But again, you live and learn. We do a lot of Facebook marketing, social media stuff. We do a lot, and that works well for us. We have about almost 1,200 friends. Is that right, Ron? 1,500 friends, which is pretty good for us, you know, short as we've been in business. So we use that pretty effectively to advertise special things and do special kind of Facebook promotions. And then we also work with community groups. We do fundraisers where a group spreads the word to their friend and fan base, and we give a percentage of our sales that day to, yesterday was the Enoch's Band, last week it was the Red Shield Center, we have the Davis High School cheerleaders in a week or so. So those kind of things, and that's, you know, grassroots marketing where people spread the word for you and bring people in. We've been fortunate that once we get people in our shop, we get a lot of repeat business. So I would say grassroots marketing has worked the best for us.
Dr. Shirvani, quite a few questions for Dr. Shirvani, and I'm trying to sum them up as to the best of my ability. A lot of people are talking about budget issues, and not from a funding perspective from the state to the CSU system, but from us as potential students to the university. And it is expensive to get a higher education. And I know we spoke last week, and you talked about the cost of attending public schools in other states. Can you address real briefly
Sure.
the cost of a California education versus that of Pennsylvania?
For your information, California is has one of the lowest tuition fees in the entire nation. We're still below the median. We are still below the average. And we are, even with the 10% that is approved at CSU, we're talking about roughly around $6,800, $6,500 to $6,800 of tuition and fee. The average in the country for public institutions is around $8,500. So we are about $2,000 below. Now, if you say when we go up, the other states will go up even higher. Some public institutions in this country today are about $18,000 a year. And that's University of Michigan, Penn State, and those kind of institutions. So we are very, very affordable. The problem is in California, when we have 50% of newborn kids are paid for by Medi-Cal, you got to get the picture that what kind of population we are dealing with. We are dealing with a very drastic population change in this state. There is a large number of people who are lower income people. And therefore, and particularly when we're dealing with Central Valley, that gets even, the percentages are even higher. So that low tuition and fee is still too much. And that's why we have the problem. And don't forget that including books and other things, supplies, because you can't do any work these days without a computer and the software and the printer, and you add it up. So you're talking about minimum of 10,000, and that's the reason about 70% of our students work 30 hours or more.
Thank you. All right, Mike Zagaris. Can you expand on starting a business in this economy? You kind of talked about this is the opportunity to get your legs under you and get going in business. What would be the first one or two things you would do? How would you start a business today?
Well, I'd look for an opportunity. You know, and I think we're starting businesses. You know, this week I mentioned at Welcome Home Services, we see an opportunity. You see an opportunity, then you work really hard to organize around the opportunity. We saw an opportunity to serve a bunch of our clients and a bunch of vendors who are just fabulous people. And we spent, what I would do is I'd identify the opportunity. I would spend a lot of time with the customers, your prospective customers, to find out what they want. Because in our business, we're a services business. We're a home services business. We serve people. So what do they want? So the first thing I do is I'd identify something that you think you'd like to pursue. Then I go talk to, I see so many people start businesses and they don't ever go to talk to the end customer. And I'd spend a lot of time with people finding out what, in fact, they're looking for in terms of services. And then I would organize around that. Make sure you have adequate capital and that you have, that you're set up to do that business. I really recommend that people do what they know and not go do things they don't know. If it's something that you don't understand, you're probably not going to be doing as well in it as somebody else might. This is what I meant earlier was, in this particular period of time, fewer people are taking the bold step to go out and do something, which means there's a window of opportunity for those who, in fact, are willing to do that. Is there risk involved? Yeah. Could you fail? Yeah. Has every successful business person failed? Yep, they have. But, I found that in my life, I have failed far more often in good times than in bad. It's very cleansing. In difficult times, difficult times I make wise decisions all the time. In easy times, I make some foolish decisions. Fortunately, you know, I've made a reasonable number of wise ones along the way as well. But it's a lot harder to make a mistake in times like this, because the times themselves sort of purify the environment and make it easier to make smart decisions. It's just harder to have the courage to go out and do something, take the initiative and do it. But I really think, you know, you identify an opportunity. What I believe, like on all the internet startup businesses we've had at PMZ, Central Valley Jobs, now at Welcome Home Services, it's always being first. You want to be first. You want to be the first one in. You want to have the first, you know, yogurt shop with this concept into town. You want to be the first person to do something, and you get the audience, and then you take care of your clients. You know, if you're just going to do something that's already being provided by a whole bunch of other people, I think the likelihood of success is substantially less.
All right, last question for our panel is to Lynn. And I'm kind of interested in this as well. My family loves Lynn. We come to Gallo performances. She comes out and introduces them, and my 6, 3, and 8-year-old daughter, "There's the Oodles lady! There's the Oodles lady! That's Lynn!" Lynn, do you think you will stay at the Gallo Center long term? Or is there a time limit that you've set for yourself?
I think this will be my last rodeo. You know, I probably will do the Oodles thing longer than I do this, but I really and truly, as I said before, I've never been better suited for a job. This job is a perfect job for me. I mean, all the things I'm good at, it uses, and it's the right size. It's just a perfect fit for me, and I really, really do love it. So my intent, unless they fire me, would be to stay here, you know, several more years until I officially retire from the working world and go sell yogurt full time.
Let's give them a round of applause. All right, a couple more quick things. There's blue evaluation forms in that little brochure. If you would fill those out, we'd greatly appreciate it. This is the 3rd annual This Economy in You, and hopefully it's better than last year, and hopefully last year's was better than the previous year. The only way we get better and improve as an organization is by that feedback. So if you could fill that out, we'd greatly appreciate it. In addition to that, I want to thank our video team, Fallen Oak Productions, because that was one hell of a video they showed before this event. They have been working their tails off. All right, I'm going to dismiss you in a minute. Again, how to rob a bank, right out that door. How to stay out of jail, up that door. So the sheriff is going to be on the 2nd floor, towards the end of the lobby there, talking about how to prevent people from hurting you, talking how to prevent your home from getting broken into. Great advice. Jeff Burrow, my business partner, one of the best guys I know, and I'm very lucky and fortunate to have him as a partner, is going to be right here in the theater talking about investments and how to make your money outlive you. Because the last thing you want to do is die without being able to write that last check. Okay? In addition to that, Lou Friedman, right up these stairs to your left in the Carnation Room. Lou from Curtis Legal Group is going to give another talk on preserving your legacy, talking about estate planning issues and things to think of and issues to solve in your family. And Paul and Pam Harmon with PMZ, right underneath the major stairwell, are going to talk about real estate right here at the local level in Stanislaus County. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight would not have been possible without the countless hours, volunteer hours, I might add, by my staff, Jeff's staff. But most importantly, Stu Bennett. Stu, stand up and give us a wave. That's U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is the reason we're here tonight. We had this wild idea 3 years ago to do this event. We went to them, and right away they signed on as a key sponsor. And we appreciate their 3-year partnership. And Stu, thank you very much, and your staff for all you do. All right, you're dismissed. Go attend a breakout session. They're wonderful. Thank you so much. Turn those evaluation forms in, please.